This is Jesse Whitson. This is my video presentation on dealing with challenging personalities. For this video, I chose to deal with this scenario on the must be right challenging personality. In this scenario, the athletic director is caught off guard in his office by a parent who comes in and is kind of making a big deal out in front in the front lobby, and the athletic director is forced to hang up his phone and go out there and see what the issue is. When he gets out there, he finds the parent very upset, and so the athletic director invites the parent into the office and basically acknowledges the fact that there's something really bothering the parent, and then wants to get to the bottom of the issue with them and begins asking them questions, prompting them to go ahead and state what the issue is and then move on from there. As they're moving on through the situation, the athletic director basically finds out that the parent is unhappy with the coach who is not playing their son, and basically saying that the coach is not fair. They feel that the son in the situation has done everything right, has done everything required of them in order to get playing time. And so the athletic director continues to actively listen, restate what the parent has said in order to make sure that they're clearly understanding what the parent is talking about. And then they try to basically shift the focus a little bit away from the anger and the coach not being fair, and basically try to start to focus on the kid in this situation and asking, do you know why Bobby is not playing? Do you know about his skills related to his teammates' skills? Is there any reason in particular why you think he may not be playing? But the parent's not really willing to acknowledge that part of the conversation, and kind of refers back to how good the kid was in middle school and that they used to play regularly. And so the athletic director is really trying to shift the focus and then say, okay, what would you like to get out of this situation? And then basically the parent just says, well, we want more playing time. And then that leads to another issue, which is, have you talked to the coach? And at that point, you find out that the parent thinks that the coach is completely unapproachable, and that talking with him would not do any good anyway, so why would they bother to talk with the coach? So the athletic director at this point finds out that there's been no communication between the son and the coach, the parent and the coach, and the parent has come straight to the athletic director. And so at that point, the athletic director acknowledges the fact that this is a discussion that needs to take place, and tries to communicate with the parent that they would be more than happy to facilitate communication with the coach in order to try and basically get some insight as to why the son is not playing in this situation. So, from my perspective, this athletic director handled the situation pretty well. I think that the number one thing that you have to do in this situation, when you meet a parent who is, pretty combative, initially they were using profanity in this situation. I think one of the first things that you have to do is try and de-escalate the situation. If they're not calm, they're not going to be able to talk to you logically and kind of work through the issue with you. And so that's the number one thing that you have to do, is basically try and calm them down, especially when they're pushy and aggressive like this parent was. And so along with de-escalating their emotions, I think it's important, the book talks about the fact that you have to be in control of your emotions. And if you show that you're calm, that's going to help de-escalate the situation. Secondarily, the book talks about show that you are listening. And the athletic director in this situation did a great job of showing that they were listening. They're actively listening, restating the parents' concerns and thoughts, and letting them know that they are actively trying to understand what their issue is. And then at that point, they move on to shifting the focus, which the book also talks about. And so what you're trying to do there is ask questions that cause the individual to shift to a more logical rationale. And I think that the athletic director in this case did a good job of that by trying to lead the parent towards a solution, which would be communicating with the coach. And so saying, hey, instead of coming in here and yelling at me that the coach isn't fair and wanting me to do something about it, why have you not, communicated with the coach first? And so I know where I'm from that one of the big things we always talked about in our athletic department was lines of communication, and reiterating to our team and to our parents that the lines of communication are in layers. And the first layer is that the athlete needs to discuss issues that they have with the coach. That's first and foremost. And they need to advocate for themselves because ultimately that's a skill that they need to develop in this sports process and that they're going to take with them into life. And so that's the number one thing that's got to happen in this situation is that there needs to be a discussion had between the coach and the athlete. Moving beyond that, if the athlete doesn't like the response that they get or don't feel good about the conversation, then they could request a meeting with the coach, the parent, and the athlete in the same room. But again, the athlete needs to advocate for that. And then finally, if there's no good solution found, then you could jump to a meeting with the athletic director, the coach, the parent, and the athlete. And when you do that, uh, you have those types of meetings, more often than not, I think that you're going to come up with a pretty good solution to the problem or a better understanding of why, in this case, that the athlete is not getting the playing time that the parent believes that they should. And some things are going to come to light in that meeting that's going to reveal why the kid is not playing. And whether the parent likes it or not, they're going to get an answer. And that's really what this parent is looking for. So, I think ultimately that in this scenario where it ends, they have not found a solution. To me, I think that the thing they need to do to find that solution is to have those discussions. But again, they need to go through that proper chain of communication, the athlete with the coach, and then working their way up from there. A lot of times, the athlete with the coach, they have that conversation and then the problem's gone because now the athlete understands why they're not playing and they go home and can tell the parent why. And so I think that that would probably be the best way to deal with this situation is to de-escalate, let them know that you're listening, you're there for them, you want to help them with their problem, and then after hearing what their issues are, kind of shifting the focus to, a logical and rational side of things, which would be going through the proper process of, communication with the coach in order to solve this problem. And then hopefully moving on to actually having those conversations and solving their issue.